Welcome to Roots and Branches of Lehi, the podcast where we get to know the faces, stories, and lives that make up our community. I'm Ryan Harding, and I started this podcast as a way for us all to connect with the people we live alongside. Growing up in a small town, I learned that connections go beyond blood. They're built through shared experiences, friendships, and the moments we celebrate together. Each week, we'll sit down with someone new from Lehi to share their unique story, their passions, and what they love most about living here. So whether you've been here for years or just arrived, join us as we deepen our roots and reach out to our branches one story at a time. Welcome, Chad Wilson, to Roots and Branches of Lehi, where we get to know you a little bit better. So thanks for coming on.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, excited to get to know you a little bit. So let's start at the beginning. Tell me, you grew up in Lehi, you're from here. Tell me about your childhood.
Grew up in South Carolina.
South Carolina, okay.
My dad's from there. My dad's family came over on a boat in the 1600s and settled at Charlestown Landing. So
Okay.
we were there a long time. Had great experiences as a kid, a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Mom and dad would turn me loose and
Just get there, go have fun. Just
pretty much
come
as
back
long
by
as
dinner,
I
right?
stayed within a
Yeah.
set boundary.
Yeah.
We were in good shape.
That's good.
So it was a pretty good childhood. And as in the South, football, especially at that time, rules all. So
Yeah.
there's played basketball, but that was something you did till spring practice.
Okay. So it was not the main goal. It was just, okay. So always interested in football then too?
Yeah, loved football growing up. Probably a better basketball player, probably a better basketball coach, honestly.
Okay.
But loved football.
Yeah. Do you think that came from your parents? Did they infuse that love of sports in you? Where do you think that
No,
came from?
My dad played a little bit in high school, but not much. And my mom really wasn't a sports person until her kids got involved.
Yeah.
And I think I just grew up loving competition. And
Sure.
I liked football because you got to run into people.
Yeah. And so that was so just something you enjoyed. So you play pickup games as kids and stuff like that too. You obviously no pads and stuff. Just backyard kind of thing.
We would have our little neighborhood teams and play against other neighborhood teams.
Yeah.
And then I think we started playing. We played a unique brand. It was flag, but we were fully padded. So
really?
It was
Okay.
full hit, but no tackle.
Okay.
So it was kind of
Okay.
But we started that in the fourth grade, and I think that was fourth, fifth, and sixth. In the seventh, we started beating on each other pretty good.
Okay. So South Carolina to Utah, how did that connection happen? Where?
I came out to Ricks College
Okay.
to play football in the mid-'70s, and took some time, but decided after I was 20 to serve a mission for the LDS Church.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't had a lot. Technically, I was active in the church growing up,
Sure.
but hadn't had a lot to do with the church.
Sure. It wasn't
So
a priority, maybe. Yes.
I took about a year and a half after my last season at Rick's to familiarize myself with what I might be expected to teach.
Sure.
Then went on a mission to Colorado, came back, took about another year, and then came out to be with.
Okay.
Met my wife. She was from California. We tried California. It wasn't the same place she had grown up.
Sure. Yeah.
She didn't really want to live in South Carolina, so we decided to come here.
Okay. So came back. But you were in California for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Okay. You talked about your mission and stuff like that. What do you think Rick's helped with that? You said you weren't maybe super active, but obviously if you went to a church school, you weren't exactly indifferent too much to it, right?
My mom was adamant that I go to a church college. I had planned on going to a college back in the southeast somewhere.
Sure.
And had opportunities to do. And I had two friends at church that one Sunday in the spring just said, "Hey, we're going to Rick's, come and go with us." And
Yeah.
I didn't know what Rick's really was.
Sure.
So I just asked them, "Do they play ball?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
get away from home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get away for a little bit, and it's good school, and so
Great looking back, hindsight, because my dad dropping me off 2,500 miles away from home
Yeah.
was quite the experience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
didn't know one soul other than a couple friends.
Sure.
And it took some time, but being at Rick's really changed my life.
Yeah.
So
Good.
it was a good thing.
Good. That was good. Yeah. When you transferred to BYU, did you get to play for BYU then too?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was.
That's a lot of us feel that way. That's probably true for a lot of us.
I had the great opportunity in 1985 to be a graduate assistant, though. Coach Edwards felt pity for me and
Sure.
let me come help a little bit.
Oh, that's awesome. Any experiences from that or anything worth sharing from that time?
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. Coach Edwards is just an incredible individual. Watching him work, he wasn't so much, by that time, he wasn't so much on the field, but just working with the young men off the field and behind the scenes. And I'll just give you one example. We were in a team meeting one day, or a staff meeting one day. And the offense and defensive guys were going to each other pretty good because we'd had some little issues, and they were each thinking the other should have a better game plan coming up. And Coach Edwards sat at the head of the table for a few minutes and listened, and he slaps the table and said, "This is what we're going to do." And everybody shut up and went and did it.
All right.
And it was successful. No, that's the kind of person he was. Everybody truly respected him and loved him, and amazing man.
And so then talk to me about, so career-wise, what did you end up studying? What did you end up going into as far as careers go?
So in my bachelor's degree, I studied sports medicine. I knew I wanted to be a coach. I figured a lot of young men, especially in high school, fake injuries on Monday and Tuesday and feel much better on Wednesday.
That's probably...
Watched it at BYU also. And so I wanted to be able to know, first of all, if they're faking, but if somebody was hurt, I wanted to be able to help treat them and get them back to where they needed to be. And then my master's degree was in exercise physiology. Because I wanted to be able to design my own programs and didn't want to have to count on somebody else to work the kids out and get them ready to go.
You want to be able to have that skill. And so then, so after graduating from BYU, you went to California?
Correct.
And what was the job there in California then?
I taught whatever needed to be taught a little high school out in the desert. And was the football coach and the girls basketball coach. Football, we were not great. We were getting better. The year after I left, they won a CIF title, but we got better every year. We didn't have a lot of great kids. A lot of great hearts, and but so it took time for kids to get on board, and the strength program did not exist, and so we had to build a weight room from scratch, and it just took time. It was fun. I loved being there. I say it was out in the desert. There's a lot of agriculture in that area, and so a lot of kids didn't have a lot, came from families that didn't have much, and so just helping them and being able to visit them in their homes, and me being a minority for a change.
I bet.
It was a good experience.
You talked about it taking time and stuff like that. So when everybody likes to see results right away, right? We live in a fast-paced world. If I order food, I want it now. If I want whatever. So talk to me about that period of time in California as far as kind of building and stuff like that. I don't know. Any things from that?
The good news, superintendent that hired me, he was an old Oklahoma boy and loved football and had grown up with the sport, and so he understood it. So I didn't have a ton of pressure right off the bat. Our first year, we played really good ball. It was in a situation where the athletic director had wanted the job, and they didn't give it to him. And so he set up a schedule for us that was just insane. And our kids played hard. We did not give up very many points, but we didn't score hardly any. Because the schools we were playing were just ridiculously larger than us. One school had 3,000 students. We had 400.
Oh, wow.
So that gives you
totally different
some idea. When we got into league, it was much more competitive. And so then again the next year a little bit better, and then by the time the kids that were sophomores and freshmen when we started, they knew the program, they knew what was going on. They had increased their size, their strength. And we were a really competitive team. If my quarterback hadn't gotten hurt, we probably won a CIF title that year. They were pretty good.
That's awesome. So again, it took time to get there and stuff. And so then so obviously you said California didn't quite work out for you guys. It just wasn't so is that more kind of just from we're not loving it here, we wanted to kind of move to Utah, or,
we had transition. A couple children, and as we're there, we just couldn't see raising our family where we were. It just wasn't a lot of drugs, a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff. And so not maybe the best environment for a kid to be raised in and stuff. We
came back to Provo to work on a PhD. My cousin had a good friend who was an assistant coach at Lehi, and they were struggling at the time, had a new head coach, and so the head coach called me up and asked if I'd come help.
Okay.
So we came out and talked and decided I would come help. Then the principal came out to practice one day and said, "Hey, how about teaching half-time?" And I'm like, "I'm going to school." And, well, So, and then he came out one day in the middle of August during practice and said, "Hey, our basketball coach just resigned. Would you coach basketball?" And I'm like, "Don't know much about basketball." You'll be great.
You'll be fine. Good luck.
So I ended up as a full-time teacher and coach there, and kind of was doing the education thing at night and in the summers.
And this was was this Provo or Lehi at this time?
I was at Lehi teaching and coaching. I was at BYU working on PhD.
School. Okay, just to clarify. Okay, so that's when Lehi started then. So you were at Lehi High School?
Yeah, 1990.
1990, okay. And you were there for a good amount of time then?
I was there for 12 years. I didn't want to leave. Our district supervisors decided that they wanted a little different direction, and so they transferred me, and I went kicking and screaming. And had to become an administrator because we couldn't pay for a family on a teaching and coaching salary at the time. It's better now, but not a lot.
Yeah, still hard. Yeah,
it was a real challenge. We had 4 children. We qualified. I was teaching an extra period. I was coaching 3 sports, and we qualified for free lunch.
Okay. So, I
was doing about all I could do.
You could do about all you could do. And again, making a big difference, just maybe not in your bank account, but in the lives of people, right? Yes. No, I'm sure you were. Okay. So talk to me then about those 12 years at Lehi. What stands out to you? What things do you want to share about that time?
We went from being my first year we had 575 students.
Okay.
There was only 4 classifications in the state at the time, and we were a brand new 3A school playing against schools that had 1,700 kids. So that was challenging.
Yeah, of course.
We grew to about 1,100 students during that time, and then that was right before the real growth hit.
Yeah.
The 6th grade, I think, when I left, was where it started becoming about 1,000 or 1,100 kids per grade.
Okay.
The growth was good. During that period of time, our national test scores went from, I think my first year we tested at 45th percentile.
Okay.
And when I left, we were at the 61st, I want to say.
Okay.
Our scores went from high 17s to low.
Okay.
So the academics were really improving. We improved our staff. Our staff was really making progress.
Yeah.
We were moving from a small cowboy school to a more suburban type where the expectations were a little different. Athletically, we won a number of state titles during that period of time in multiple sports. We were the Deseret News School of the Year twice.
That's awesome.
I loved the kids I worked with on both sides, the educational side and the athletic side. Still have great relationships with a lot of them.
And that was both basketball and then also football then, too, right? So when did you said you got the head coaching job for basketball. When did the football thing happen?
So I was head coach in basketball for 5 years to 95, and then I was the head coach of football for 3. The district made me quit coaching, so I stepped down as the head coach, but I kept being the defensive coordinator for another 4 years.
Okay.
And they were not very happy with that, but that's part of the reason why I got transferred. So the goal was always to be at Lehi for 35 years as coach and just retire as Coach Wilson.
Yeah. But so then we'll come back to this. But so then give me your whole life story, I guess then. So after that, where did you go then?
I got moved to American Fork, was there as an assistant principal for 10 years. I did help them coach for a couple years in there, but they pretty much told me not only would I get fired, but the principal would get fired if I kept doing it. So I had pity on the principal.
Sure.
And then in 2012, I was transferred to Westlake for 8 years, and then I spent the previous 5.5 years at Orem High.
Okay.
So I've been around the district.
You have been around the district. And so coaching at each of those?
No. I did not coach at Westlake or at Orem.
Okay. But American Fork, yes?
Yes.
And then, but Westlake and Orem. Okay. And now officially retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Retired in December.
Okay. So just barely then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's retirement like life?
Right now it's boring.
Yeah.
Got to find something to do.
You got to find something to do, right? Yeah. Yeah. Talk to me about your career in general, as far as obviously teaching, administration, coaching. What parts do you like? I already know the answer to this, but what part? Okay, I'm going to ask it still. What part did you like the most and why?
Obviously coaching.
Yeah.
I had two great coaches in high school, just fantastic men. Robert Ellenberger was my basketball coach, and Bobby Giles was my football coach, and just great men. Bobby Giles was also the first counselor in my bishopric. He and I were the only two LDS people at my high school, but just great men. They taught us how to play the game and let us play the game.
Yeah.
They didn't try to micromanage everything we did.
Yeah.
And they did their best to teach us some values and to be men.
Sure.
Not just punk players,
Yeah,
but be men. And they helped me to understand, at least, I hope everybody else, but that football and basketball is a temporary thing. And no matter how good I became, even if I was an all-star in the NFL or NBA, that I had a bigger obligation to be a good person and a good man, be a good husband, a good father, and a good community member. And so I really wanted to pass those values on. Yeah. It's great being with kids. They keep you young, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun, but I think the most important work I did was helping young men to understand that there's value in hard work. There's value in a team working together. There's value in learning to enjoy those two things. And there's value in becoming a good man, good woman. Yeah. Just so much more important in my mind to be a good husband, to be a good father. Yeah. It was hard, but I really enjoyed having some conversations in some homes, telling some parents that they needed to do better.
Yeah, sure.
It's a real hard conversation.
That's a hard conversation to have.
Football coach to come in and tell you need to be a better dad.
And how did they receive that?
Most received it pretty well because it was meant in a spirit of love. I wasn't trying to get on their case. It was just, your son's struggling, and you're the reason he's struggling. Oh, no. So can we do something a little different? Yeah. And you've got a great young man. Yeah. Here's all the good things he's doing. Yeah. And you're on his case because he got a B in physics or something. Sure. And you're missing the bigger picture here, right? And stuff.
Let's kind of dive back into that spot. You said meeting with families and talking to people, parents, and helping them out. How important obviously parents are very important and stuff like that. But as a coach, I'm guessing you do get probably more involved in these people's lives than just, hey, go lift some more weights or go practice this drill. Obviously, there's a lot more mental stuff going on, emotional things, I would assume, as a coach, than just, again, the physicality of sport.
Yeah. It gradually came a little bit each year, but it finally dawned on me. I probably had more influence in most of these boys' lives than anybody else in the world at that moment.
Sure.
And so what was I doing to use that influence for good? Yeah. And I remember a mom, at that time we were going to Uinta, the Union. We were doing a lot of traveling. Sure. And so I had a little book light, and I'd bring a book and read on the way home from the games. And I had one mom say to me, Richard says you read a lot. I caught him with a book the other day.
Okay, that's good.
Because Coach reads.
Yeah.
And same young man, I was just having a conversation with Mom, and she had mentioned how things had gotten a little tense at home.
Sure.
So he and I just had a conversation that when you can straighten things out at home, then you can be back on the field.
Okay, good.
And they straightened up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But again, it felt like the way you treat your mom is a big deal.
Yeah.
The way you behave at school is a big deal. They're 16-year-old kids. And we know the typical type of young man who's drawn to the football.
Sure.
A little more rowdy, general rule, than others. But you can still behave. And so we had some pretty strict guidelines and some pretty high expectations, but the kids rose to them. I think they started to understand that I believed what I was teaching them. It wasn't just, here's an educator, another educator, but I believed that stuff. Yeah. And so for the most part, they just rose to the occasion, and it was good. It was fun. It was really enjoyable. Yeah. And felt like we were making a difference.
Good.
And great assistant coaches, they bought in 100%.
Yeah.
So enjoyed that.
Which sometimes people, should we have sports in schools and different things like this? Why do you think sports do fill a need for people? What's the case for having sports in schools?
Just personally, I'm sure I would have dropped out of high school if it hadn't been for sports.
Yeah.
It's what kept me going. I won't mention a name, but one young man, very good football player, as coming in as a sophomore, he was barely eligible, 2.01 or something like that grade point average.
Yeah, just barely.
We had a lot of conversations, and he was a starter as a sophomore. The time he was a senior, he was a 3.6 student.
Yeah.
Without football, he's probably out pouring concrete or something by the time he's 16.
Sure.
So football and wrestling
kept him in school.
So I think not just sports, but all activities have an impact on a lot of different students.
Yeah.
And I think it's just important that we support the activities. And
to be able to really, you talk about obviously dealing with these kids and stuff like that. Do you think there's obviously a bigger impact that a coach can have than a teacher sometimes? And obviously teachers have a big impact on students too and stuff like that. But obviously as a coach, you're in a different environment with them than the classroom.
That was my avenue to make an impact. I'm sure there was some impact made in other areas, but
of course,
that was my avenue. The thing is, as a football coach, I've got 125 kids roughly on a team that I have direct impact on.
Yeah.
They all have 4 friends, and they have impact on those 4 friends. And we didn't do a lot with the cheerleaders, but there's 40 cheerleaders, and they see what's going on, and they and how we interact with the cheerleaders and things. And so I think there's a big impact that can be made in a school just by the right kind of football coach.
Yeah. What if you were counseling parents and stuff like that with sports? Obviously, if I have a kid that wants to become, football guy and stuff like that, do you have any advice for parents as far as prepping those kids for sports and stuff?
One thing is let the coaches coach.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not at practice. You don't know what is going on.
Yeah.
Things, and you think you know,
Yeah.
but you don't know what's going on.
Sure.
Let the coaches coach. Teach your children to work hard.
Yeah.
And step out of the way.
Sure.
Don't put so much pressure on your kids to the scholarship or the NFL or whatever.
Sure.
Because let them enjoy their high school experience and let their coaches push them to excel. Sure, have expectations at home. Expect them to do their best. I'm not saying don't do that, but just let the coaches do their job, and you be a great parent. You be there. There's going to be times when they come home a mess. And be there to help them pick up the mess. And be there to celebrate with them in the good times. But don't put so much pressure on them.
And I think so that's good advice. And as a parent, I have kids, and we try to have high expectations for those kids. So, hey, we want them we know what you're capable of, right? And so you want to do that. But at the same time, I think that is different than pressure, and there's a difference there, I think. And I think sometimes parents too, especially with that goal of, hey, I want my kid to be all these different things, but they have to want it too, right? Because they're the ones ultimately putting the effort.
And I think I had this conversation often with kids. You don't like me because I didn't get a good grade in whatever class, chemistry. What was our conversation? Do you remember? I asked you if you tried your hardest, and you told me no. And what did I get on your case about? Not trying your hardest, not getting a B. If you get a D minus and you tried your hardest, I'm going to pat you on the back and tell you great job.
I would agree.
If you get an A and tell me you didn't try hard, I'm going to be on your case.
No, in fact, I've had that same conversation with my son where sometimes it's a little easier for him with grades, and I'm like, that's great, I'm happy for you, but really at some point it won't be easy. And if you don't know how to work, then you will fall behind from that other kid that was getting worse grades than you but was working. Because that habit of working transfers over to everything else.
It does, and that was one of the things. Occasionally we'd have parents come in, you're working my kid too hard. Why are you doing all this stuff? And you have the conversation with the parents. Sometimes they'd understand, sometimes they wouldn't. But by the end of the season, the kids understood that all that we had done led up to where we got to.
Yeah.
10 wins, 12 wins,
Sure.
whatever the win total was. All that we had done is what got them to where they were.
Yeah.
And like you said, that translates into other areas. Oh, if I work hard, good things happen. Mm-hmm. And so if I work hard in the mission field, good things will happen. If I work hard in school, good things will happen. If I work hard in life, good things will happen. Yeah. So that was one of the most important things we tried to teach, was just the value of hard work.
Yeah. The reaping what you sow. That's, again, that law of the harvest kind of thing. You have to, it's not something for nothing. The one that win, it's not, they put in a lot more time behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. And occasionally we have really good kids, but year in and year out, we might have one or two good kids and a whole lot of really hard-working kids.
Yes.
And so we had to work, and we had to do things. We had to be creative with coaches.
Sure.
To be able to put them in a situation to win. But again, every year as the season progressed, they start to trust each other, and they start to trust their coaches. And coach knows what he's talking about, and he tells me that he's going to do his job, so I'm going to let him do his job, and I'll do mine. And there's just great value in all of that.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody? Sometimes people talk about there's just so much politics in sports, and it's because they liked this guy, or they, my kid was way harder. I don't know. To speak to that, because I'm sure you probably got some of that feedback at times, right? Hey, why isn't my kid? And I'm sure there might be truth in both sides. I don't know. Speak to that for a second.
Yeah. So there is a perception of political. This dad. Yeah. Took him out to dinner, so his son plays. I had a conversation with one dad one time and said, this is like 1995. If he bought me a $500,000 house, then maybe his kid would get to play. Sure. But taking me out to dinner doesn't get playing time. Yeah. It tends to be the kids who work the hardest and it may look political, but it's not. There are times, let's be honest, when you got two kids that are about the same, and you got to make a choice. And sometimes we'd try to play them both, but usually that didn't work that well. No. And so you got to make a choice. And
on those kids, what would be some of a deciding factor between the two?
One thing, I would never make the choice on my own.
Okay.
I might be the deciding vote, but we sit down as a staff and say, okay,
what do we like? What do we don't? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like about this kid? What do you like about? What do you not like? What do you not like?
Sure.
We get into a state semifinal game. Who's going to give us? Who's going to be there for us?
Sure.
Who's going to have wimped out? Or all kind of questions we would ask.
Yeah.
And then we would make the determination. And there were times, not very often, but there were times we messed up.
Sure.
And mid-season we had to make a change. To the other kid.
Okay.
And
you're not going to always get it right, I guess.
Yeah, you do the best you can. We try our best. We're humans.
Yeah,
and
just keep going forward. Okay. I think that's good for parents to hear, that ultimately hard work is really what will probably separate it. Because I think sometimes, and maybe that's parents when their kid doesn't get the playing time, they have to look for an excuse, and so it's just politics. It's not, maybe my kid actually isn't working as hard, right? That's a harder question to ask, frankly, right? It's easier to say, that's the coaches, they don't like my kid.
One thing we had decided, I won't say this across the board, but if a kid played 3 years for us in high school, and we felt like they had put in great effort all 3 years, we were going to find a way for them to be on the field as a senior.
Sure, good.
But might be on a couple special teams. Maybe they get 8 or 9 plays a game.
Sure.
Sometimes it's hard when you've got a kid that's 6 feet tall and weighs 110 pounds, and he's worked hard, but if you put him on the field, he's going to get broken into 13 pieces. And
Sure.
But again, we found places for them to be on the field.
Yeah.
And then when the store started to get out of hand, they were always the first one to get into the game. And then by the end, we had decided that every kid who was a senior who had worked hard would get at least 2 plays when the game mattered.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
Sometimes that was hard to do, but we pulled it off. And
good.
Sometimes we had to hide somebody for a couple plays. But
But you were trying to balance, and that's probably the hard thing of a coach, is that ultimately your goal is to win, and sometimes to win, that means not putting in certain people, right? But at the same time, you're also, if you look at probably your true goal, which is developing young men, that's a different goal, right?
Yeah, and for some parents, most parents got on board with it. For some parents, it was hard because maybe having that kid in led to something disastrous happening to us.
Sure.
I don't think it ever cost us a game.
Sure.
But it's okay. Sometimes in life, things happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes the boss puts the wrong person in the seat that maybe you should have gotten. And you got to learn to deal with stuff. You got to learn to deal with adversity. And it's okay to be behind and come back. And
Okay, that's a good point, too. So adversity and stuff and mistakes. So, in a perfect world, we'd deal with perfect people. But we don't. I'm sure in your career you've talked about actually bosses and different things wanting you to do things. You have to deal with imperfect people. Is that the right choice? I don't know, but you have to deal with that, right? You have to deal with somebody else above you telling you, hey, we want to move you here and you move this and stuff. And you can get angry and stuff, or you can, all right, let me do my best under this situation that's not perfect and they don't maybe understand everything that I understand, right? But I don't know. I think there's wisdom in there.
Yeah, I had a lot of conversations with assistant coaches when they would get upset at something that happened in practice or a game.
Yeah.
Just reminding them, you chose to make a living with 16-year-olds.
Sure. Fair enough.
What do you expect?
Yes. Yeah.
You watch the NFL on Sunday.
Yeah.
And these guys getting paid millions of dollars, and they make mistakes.
Yes.
These are 16-year-olds.
Yes.
You got to... Yes, we try to correct them.
Yes.
If they continue making the same mistake, maybe we do something different.
Sure.
Yeah, the idea is to help them learn and help them learn from each other.
Yeah.
I loved it when a kid would make a mistake and instead of a coach rushing in, one of their teammates would, hey.
Yeah.
I remember in high school as a sophomore, our starting outside backer got hurt, and so in the first game, so I had to start the rest of the season, and I didn't really know what I was doing.
Sure.
And one of my responsibilities was the screen pass, and I blew it, and it was a big gain. And I just remember our middle linebacker, Keith Postal. He wasn't very big, grabbing me and lifting me off the ground and letting me know what was going to happen to me and my posterity if I ever. And I messed up a lot in football in high school and college, but I never missed another screen pass.
I bet.
Because I'd see Keith Postal's face.
And you're like, no, not going to happen. I need to be better here. I love that. Again, and so that's the benefit of a good team, too. But the fact that he obviously had enough courage to, or maybe he was just angry, but he still talked to you. And
a lot of it's just because our coaches took the time to teach us the game.
Sure.
Not just a position, but to teach us what was going on the field and how the offense flowed and how the defense flowed.
Sure.
And why it's so important that this tackle make this screen somebody out when we're running way away from him. And so we learned why it was important that we did our job regardless of what the play was.
Yeah.
Because there's always a chance of something else happening.
Yeah. And I like that bigger picture, because again, a lot of us get in our roles, whatever that is, whatever job we have or whatever calling or something like that. But I think it is important to see the bigger picture too, how we all integrate together, right? And that's what you did on the football field then too, is how do we integrate together? Because I think understanding that then helps you understand why, because it doesn't always make sense why I have to do it this way, right? But if you look at the greater context, the greater whole, that makes more sense now because, I affect this guy over here.
Had a quarterback one year that I usually didn't work with quarterbacks, but I didn't have a quarterback coach that year, so I'm working with him.
So you're working with him?
And so I'm teaching him how to drop back, 3-step, 5-step, 7-step, and how to hide the ball and things like that.
Yep.
And he was not very happy with me, and so I stopped. We had a conversation. I was at I don't remember which, but I was at this college camp over the summer, and this quarterback coach taught me to do it this way. And I said, so how many college teams are there in the country? Division I, there's, I don't remember at that time, like 106 or something.
Sure, quite a few.
Yeah. I said, I bet there's 90 ways they teach a quarterback to drop.
Yes.
I want you to drop this way because we're doing this with the ball. And when we run this play, I need you in this position. And if you're dropping the way you want to, then you have to rotate so they can read the play. And he's going, oh, I get it. So, we think about these things.
Yeah. I love that. Because, again, you're good job taking the time to explain it to him. But I think a lot of times we think this is the one right way. And there's not one right way with probably most things in life. To your point, 90 other ways to do it. And, again, just in life in general, there's not one way that gets us to where our destination is. And so
this is the way we do it.
This is the way we do it.
And this is why we do it this way. My wife works for Franklin Covey, and Covey was big on certain things.
Yeah, he was.
And it hurts her heart when she hears other people in the company not following their tenets.
Sure, I bet.
that they're teaching.
Yes, yeah. You're like, no, hey, we're
that's not the way we do things.
That's not the way. Yeah, here's a better way. Yeah.
So.
You brought up your wife. Speak to me about your wife's role in your life. With obviously you're doing coaching and teaching and different things like that. How has she affected your life?
We met at BYU. I saw her with her boyfriend at a ward gathering. She wasn't in our ward.
Sure.
Her boyfriend was.
Yeah.
And I just thought that she could do a lot better. But anyway, I did my best to insert myself into her life.
Sure. To be that better guy.
Every way possible.
Yeah.
And she finally agreed that. But she's been fantastic. We have 4 wonderful children. She's been supportive. She was at almost every home game for 20 years of coaching. She was at a lot of away games. She would bring 4 kids, even when they were little and it was cold and it was miserable.
Yeah.
She would bring them to support Dad. And she went back to school, I don't know, what would that have been? Probably 17, 18 years ago, and finished her degree, and I've really tried hard to be supportive of her and what she wanted to do. And
yeah, good. You mentioned your kids. Have any of them got your love of football or coaching?
2 of my sons played and did pretty well. My oldest son didn't have a ton of athleticism, but worked really hard. And he could have played, but the places he could have played, it would have cost us more to send him to those places. And then my next son is a real athlete, and he got home off of a mission and then just didn't want to play anymore. And
just got tired of it.
Yeah, he was a Division I player. As a high school kid, he's about 6'1", and he ran about a 4.5 40, and so he's a good athlete.
Yeah, good athlete. Yeah,
played linebacker, and he had a lot of interest, but just decided to go on a mission. Out of high school, and he was older, so at that time it was 19, but he was almost 19 when he graduated, so he just went and came home and didn't want to play anymore.
Hey. And so speak to that for a minute, just in general. You mentioned like the kid that was 6'10" and weighed 110 or something like sometimes, again, if we do hyper focus on whatever we're actually in. So, sport, so our self-worth sometimes is, I'm not as good of a football player as I thought. So then you go downhill and stuff like that. But I guess your son that obviously did have a lot of talent and stuff like that, but I'm guessing if we look at the greater whole, there is more to life than just whatever. And we're talking about football right now, so more to life than football. But there's more to life than other things, too, that we sometimes pigeonhole ourselves into, I guess, our identities and stuff.
One of the best things I've ever heard, had a young man that played for me, was a good outside linebacker. Not great, but good.
Sure.
A good, solid high school player. No chance of going on. Loved football. Just ate, slept, drank football. Season was over. His parents bought his helmet. They did a big diorama of the jersey and all kind of things in his room. He goes on a mission, comes home, walk into his room, and his mom's following him because she's got it there placed strategically. And he looks at it and says, I guess some things just aren't that important anymore. And I thought that was one of the best things I've ever heard, because during high school, it should be one of the most important things, if not the most important. But you're 21 years old now, and you got life in front of you.
You got life in front of you.
It should be great memories, and that's about all.
And then you're able to move on and do other things.
Just not stuck back in the good old days.
Sure. Yeah. No, I love that. And again, I think we all sometimes do that. Again, football's the example here, but it could be other things too that we sometimes go back. But life is meant to be progressed, right? And so we put away childish things at some point, right? Or just other things that, okay, I've outgrown that. Let me keep moving forward. And not that they were bad things, because again, to your point, that was very important. And in football, obviously, sports do serve a huge purpose for kids. That, like you just said, that got you through high school, right? And so there is a time and a place for certain things. Like they do have impacts on us for periods of time, and then you keep going.
And I think it happens through life. A lot of people change careers more than once, and it's not so much. It just lost interest in this and I want to pursue that. Or, I see that this looks better. Just, yeah, a lot of people, that's how they live life, is just, okay, next step, next step, next step.
Yeah. Anything else from your coaching career before we kind of move on from that? Anything else from that you'd want to bring up?
It just was the love of my life.
Sure.
Was working through sports to help young men especially really move forward in life. And like to think we helped a handful at least. And it was good times. Really enjoyed it. Hard work. Sometimes my family would wonder who I was.
Sure.
Because teaching full-time, administrator full-time, you got all the practice and everything you do, weight sessions, and then I would often spend 25, 30 hours a week with film.
Wow. So you were dedicated to that. Again, you can tell you love that stuff. So was it hard, obviously, going into administration, because that's where you've been for the last 15 years?
I spent 30 years in the administrator, but I was able to coach for several of those years.
Okay, but you haven't technically coached then for the last how many years?
I haven't coached for about the last 20 years.
Okay, so last 20 years. So does that just rip you up? How hard is that?
It's hard.
Yeah.
One of our roles as administrators, I was over athletics for almost 30 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And so I'm hiring, firing coaches, working with coaches, trying to get them to improve. And you walk out on the field on Friday night and you're just going, oh my gosh, why aren't they? And first of all, you got to remember that everybody does a little different. Just because it's not the way you would have done it doesn't make it wrong.
Fair enough.
But it's like, the kids could be so much better.
Yes.
And that's hard. And it's hard just not being with the kids.
Sure.
Not having that relationship.
Yeah.
As an administrator in school, it's hard to build relationships with kids.
Sure, because you're a level above, right? You're dealing with and so you're you're not on the front lines, I guess you could say. Right?
Yeah, you're the bad guy.
Sure.
You're the guy who is going to do something to me if I step out of line.
Sure, fair enough, yeah.
So it's just a different world. I still think it's important. I still think there's a positive role to play. You can still be a positive role model. But the role is more teaching teachers and helping them become good and helping the school run smoothly, helping parents understand that sometimes children do deserve a B.
Sure. Yep. And so how have you found meaning and fulfillment, I guess, in that time away from coaching? Because again, part of your identity, I can tell, is athletics, right? That's but how have you been able to, and have you found other ways to still integrate athletics into something? I don't know. I'm just kind of curious.
Spend a lot of time, obviously, being over athletics. As much as we want to say high school is about academics, a lot of our time is spent with activities because parents care more about activities than a lot of parents. I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
But a lot of parents care a lot more about activities than they do about the academic side.
Yeah.
So I still spend a ton of time with athletics, making sure that things are right for Friday night, making sure that the gyms, scoreboards, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Working with parents through situations with coaches and hiring, like I said, firing. So a lot of time was still spent there, but I used what I learned through coaching and working with teachers in the classroom because hopefully all of us want to do better.
Yeah.
No matter how good we are, we want to be the best we can be. Yeah. And so just working with them and making sure that they have what they need to be successful. And especially with new teachers, there's some challenges and struggles.
For sure.
You have these lofty ideals about how I'm going to influence kids, and you get in there and you got 30 wild boys, 10th graders, in a Earth Systems class. And
and that's probably hard. Is that sometimes, speaking of teachers then, is that sometimes a little bit of a wake-up call for them sometimes where they have these high ideals? And how do you help them maintain those high ideals but also grounded in reality?
Yeah, it's just time spent with them.
Yeah.
It just takes time. I would sit in classes with them and work with them on how to start a class so that they have all the kids' attention right off the bat rather than having to get their attention.
Yeah.
And just little things like especially when you have a rough class. You take your iPad, well, technology you have, you take your iPad and it'll do on the smart board while you're doing, and you walk around the room.
Yes, okay.
And when kids are misbehaving a little bit, you just stop and for 2 or 3 minutes, and generally things are a lot better. But there's lots of little tricks that you can teach. Yeah. And then just helping them to keep their passion. Sure. Sometimes they just need to a coach goes to a camp or a clinic and gets reignited, and sometimes they just need to go to a workshop or go see somebody else teach. And so making sure all of that happens. Yeah.
That's good advice. I like that because, again, all of us, the world is heavy at times, right? Things are hard. It's not an easy world. And we all have, I would assume most people have good desires to do good things in life. But at some point, man, you just get burdened, right? Because it's like, oh, man, I thought I'd be here. I'm only here. Workshops, different things, watching somebody else. I think if we go back to Covey, I think that would be the sharpening of the saw at times. It's good to do some of those things where we're actually, doing the things that'll help us, right? So that we can stay engaged and do these kind of things and stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that side of it. Sometimes I think as parents and community members, we look at our teachers and think they should be here. Sure. And you don't realize that maybe Mr. Jones, who yelled at your son today, his wife just got diagnosed with cancer. Teachers are humans. They have crap happen in their lives just like we do. Yes. And you got to cut them a little slack from time to time because my kid just got arrested last night, and I was up all night dealing with that. Sure. And because everything that happens to us happens to teachers too. Yes. Yeah. And so just a little kindness, a little mercy, a little grace goes a long way. Yeah,
yeah. No family, no person has the ideal life, right? I think we all strive for the ideal. I think it's good to have goals, but ultimately, there's a lot of stuff going on in life, right?
Yeah, and it affects all of us. Some way or another.
Yeah, no, agreed. You've also served a little bit, from what I understand, as a bishop in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? So talk to me about, has your teaching, coaching, administrative skills transferred into religious life there too?
I think it all kind of works together because coaching, teaching, writing in a school, had to learn a lot of communication skills. Sure. Had to learn how to see people and try to hear what they're saying. Yeah. Because so many people have a hard time saying what they really mean. So trying to hear what's underlying and to feel the pain that they're feeling at that time. Yeah. And then just remembering that even though we're the church and we believe what we believe, we're still human beings. Yep. And we're all still going to make mistakes. And
are you saying there's not perfect people in this church? Is that
yet to meet one, but maybe there is, but I haven't met that person yet.
Yeah, neither have I. So neither have I.
Now, but again, it was a great experience. I enjoyed it. Hard work. Yeah. I used to joke that it was the best calling that I never knew I didn't want.
Fair enough. I like that.
Because anybody who wants that calling, they ought to have it.
Yeah, love that. What advice would you have for young people that are, for you, but somebody that's going through high school right now and trying to figure out career-wise, and they're possibly leaning towards coaching or teaching or in that field? What advice would you give to somebody at that age that's trying to figure that out?
If I could talk with them, I would ask them why you want to do this. Okay. Because in my mind, if it's just because you want to win games, maybe you ought to choose a different path. Okay. Especially if you're going to be a high school, because I still think high schools is a little purer than the other levels. Sure. But do you love kids? Will you be loyal to your kids? Will you work hard for your kids? Yeah. And will you do everything you can to help them progress? Because in my mind, those are important things. Steve Clements was on my staff. I don't know if you remember him, quarterback at BYU. Yeah. And we had a great relationship, but when we had our interview, we didn't talk about 45-minute interview. We didn't talk about football. Really? He was pretty upset at me. And I said, look, Steve, I know who your dad is. Yeah. I know who you are. Yeah. I know who you've played for. Yeah. I've got a good idea of what you know. Sure. What I don't know is, Are you going to work hard? Are you going to love the kids?
Yeah.
Are you going to be loyal to the program? Not to me, but to the program.
Yeah.
And are you going to be a backbiter, or are you going to be somebody that works within the system?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. I said, I can teach you football.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to run some drills and some plays and stuff and what to look for, but I can't teach you those things. Those things are intrinsic.
Sure.
And so that's who I want on my staff.
Sure.
And that's who I wanted as teachers.
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember his name, but big book for a while, that you got to get the right people on the bus, and then you got to get them in the right seats.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, good advice. Very good advice. Obviously, you've been in coaching, teaching, administrating for a long time. Are there things that you would, if you were king for the day, per se, what things do you think could change or could be better if you had a little more say in those matters?
I would love to get the legislature out of education.
Okay.
Other than funding, and
sure,
they got to be in for some stuff.
Sure.
But
sure.
Let the educators educate.
Okay.
Yes, I agree there has to be oversight. I'm not blind, I'm not dumb, but let the educators educate.
So do you think the legislature kind of gets in the way sometimes? Is that kind of what you're implying and stuff?
Yeah. They, with good intentions, they do things that really limit what we can do to help a child.
Yeah.
One thing happens at some school somewhere, and some well-meaning legislator decides that's never going to happen again, so they write a law, and then the law has a little further reaching impact than they intended.
Sure.
And so
unintended consequences, I think, is what they call that, right?
Exactly. And so we don't have as much discipline in schools today. I'm not saying we need to hit kids, but we don't have the discipline that we might have if we didn't have a couple of well-meaning guidelines in place. Grades get inflated a lot because of things that have happened in the legislature.
Sure.
Again, I think they were well-meaning, but there's a lot that could be better.
Sure.
It would allow us to provide a better educational experience for the kids if they weren't in the way.
Yeah. And is that state legislature or is that federal?
Both.
Both, okay. Yeah, both. And is it possible for some of those things to be undone, or are some of those rules that's just kind of stuck? And
I think.
Do they ever? Yeah.
I think the right people got into place. They could look and say, okay, we can, because you can override a law, you can change a law, you can do things. Well-meaning judges also have put things into place that we spend a lot of money on things that get very little return.
Sure. And is that one of the things about leadership that I think people like, because everybody wants to do something, right? And so I want to, but I think sometimes, especially with rules, I'm a business owner myself, and so sometimes I create rules to try to help people, but then sometimes I find they're asking me questions, and it's like, oh, okay, no, just do it this way. I don't care. But the rule said this. Oh, okay, I didn't think about this, so just do it this way. Like I wasn't trying to, because I can't tell you how to do everything, right? And I can't foresee any consequences of everything too. So ultimately, here's my goal: accomplish this, right? And so in this case, create good children that are hardworking and getting good grades, different things like this. And just do your best to get there. I don't know, maybe a little more autonomy, like you're saying, a little more entrepreneurial spirit, I guess, on some of those things, right?
Yeah, I think they need a little more freedom to be able to help kids.
Sure.
And to what you're saying about the rules and all, I put it in place because of my mission president was a tremendous leader. Yeah. Just a great man. And we had mission. You got 19-year-old stupid kids out there. You got to have rules.
You have to have rules. I understand that.
I'd been out about 17 or 18 months, and I was telling the president, here's the situation. We're really struggling to meet this standard because we have so much of this and this going on. Yeah. And he just looked at me and said, I trust you. And from there, I realized this is the mission guideline. This isn't a commandment. This isn't this is something we put in place because 19-year-old boys need something to do, and we've got to ensure that they're trying to. Yes. And okay, I get it. So we have overarching principles and standards, and we don't want to go against them, but the little rules we put into place to meet those, maybe they can be in situations. And so that's same thing happens in schools. We have our little rules. Yes. Yeah. But if a teacher's doing a great job and not following some silly little rule, it's like, okay, just be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful where you step.
Sure. That teacher, the problem is sometimes there is that fear, right? Because so everybody, there's safety in the rules, right? Because then you can't say I did anything wrong. I was following the rules. But and that's true. Now you're safe, right? But the downside is, but what if going around this to help that kid is actually more what needs to be done? And that's scary because now you're placing yourself outside of those rules and stuff like that. And so that's why I can empathize with that, especially in this world where there's a lot of people looking to try to get you in trouble sometimes. Police officers and stuff, like people videotaping them when they're doing something. I get it. It's hard sometimes. And so it is nuanced, and I get that. But I like your mission presence, the principles and stuff. That's what I think ultimately should govern us. But yes, rules are important too. I don't know. It's a nuanced thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I understand 100% the value of rules, and we teach our new teachers the rules for a reason. And then if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I know, but this," and okay, show me, and we look at it, and say, okay, just you gotta there's a reason the rules in place. Sure. So make sure you're not.
Yeah, but I like that because ultimately that person still then checked with you, so that's good then to have that communication open, right? Where it's like, okay, hey, how do we?
And that was one thing I felt was so important that I needed to have my as long as they were staying within the framework, I had their backs. 100%. Nobody's gonna mess with you. And you step outside of good solid practice. Then we might have some problems.
Sure.
So there's some things that are in place for a reason. You're not supposed to give kids a ride.
Yes. Sure.
It might be hard when you're driving home and you see this kid who's got to walk 1.5 miles, and you're going right by his house. But we're protecting you.
Yes. And so then again, that goes back to keeping the rules. But we just see, but if you looked at your football example of knowing more of the defense and offense and all the whole game, right? So again, understanding everything. And that's where I having trust with the leaders, so administration above you, hey, trust that we know some of these things, there's a reason this rule exists, right? We've seen this happen. And so we don't want you to go falling down that road, even if nothing actually happens in that example.
And that was a conversation I would have a lot with my supervisors, district supervisors. Look, okay, I don't understand why you're doing this. It sounds stupid.
Sure.
We had good relationships, so we could.
So you could say stupid.
We did stuff.
Sure.
But I'm not in your shoes.
Yes.
I don't see what. Help me understand.
Sure.
And most of the time they could help me understand, and sometimes they'd say it is stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's what we're told.
Exactly. Exactly. And so again, good people in those roles, I think, is important, right? People that aren't on power trips or ego trips. It's like, hey, we have the same goal. How do we help the kids? How do we help, or whatever organization you're in? How do we help the client? How do we help the whatever?
Exactly.
So if that's the goal, then So I think that's good. But Chad, this has been great. I've enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to cover before we kind of conclude?
I don't think so. I appreciate the chance to be here. We've lived in Lehi for coming up on 36 years, over 40 years as a teacher, coach, administrator. It was a lot of fun. Don't know where those 40 years went. But
gone in a pretty quick blink of an eye, right?
Yeah, you wake up one day and your kids are almost 40 years old.
Sure. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm starting to get older kids myself, so maybe we'll conclude then with there's a podcast about Lehi too. And why have you liked living in Lehi?
Well, when we moved here, there was no stoplights. We lived over here on 4th West, and I could turn left onto Main Street.
No problem.
Sometimes I'd have to wait for a car.
A car.
So we just watched it grow from a little small community. One thing I've loved is the city of Lehi has always had pride. People that lived here were proud to live here. And for the most part, I think you still see that. It was hard splitting the high school when Sky Ridge opened. But I think the city's still been able to maintain a lot of that. Even though I don't have no idea how big city is now, we got to be pushing 100,000 people. They've still managed to maintain some of that small town good feel. And I like that. And I hope it continues. None of my kids live here. I have a son that lives in Bluffdale, but I would love for them to be able to move here and just feel what we felt when we moved in. We were welcomed pretty much with open arms, and it took a minute to get to know people, but we did, and it's been a great experience. We've really enjoyed when we came, we intended to stay for about 3 or 4 years and then move on. And here we are.
Decades later, here you are. Yeah, that's awesome. Lehi is a great community, and I will say, doing this podcast, one thing I've learned is that a community is lots of good people. It's not one, we can't say that Lehi is great because of this person. It's like, no, that person plus 3,000 others. It's made up of a lot of good people.
It really is. And I used to joke as a bishop that by the time I had heard about a problem, it was solved.
Sure.
Because there's so many good people in our community, in our ward, that just went and helped and took care of things.
Sure.
And
so it wasn't always under your back. Which
this and this happened. Oh, crud, we better do it. Oh, it's taken care of. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just letting you know.
My job's pretty easy.
Yeah. It's certainly much lighter when you have lots of good people, right?
Just a lot of good people around. And even most times in situations where parents in school were upset at me, coaching, administrator, whatever, it was just out of love for their kid,
not for any kind of anger at you or anything like that. Sure.
They were just angry. And by the time we got settled down, we were fine.
Sure. Good. Yeah. And I love that. Chad, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for all that you've done for the community. And even though you're retired now, just recently, I'm sure the boredom will turn into something.
Yeah,
and so
it's got to turn into something.
It'll turn into something. So hopefully you'll be able to find something. But we appreciate you, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's been good to be here.
Thank you for joining us on Roots and Branches of Lehi. I hope today's story helped you feel a little more connected to the people who make up our community. Remember, every person here has a unique story, and together, we're what makes Lehi feel like home. If you know someone who would be a great fit for this podcast, please fill out the form in the show notes so we can reach out and schedule an interview. We'd love to hear from you. A big thank you to our sponsors, the Work Harding Home Mortgage Team and Play Harding Nightly Vacation Rentals, for supporting this show and helping us bring our community closer together. Until next time, keep growing those roots and reaching out to your branches. Take care.